Welcome to the Chicago Bears Podcast, a presentation of ESPN Chicago, Chicago's home for sports. Here's your host, Pat, the designer.
Bird on Bears fans, welcome into another edition of the Chicago Bears Podcast. Pat the designer, Lance Briggs in the building. Lance, how you feeling today, man? It's a Bears football Monday.
It is. I get great energy from you. You know what I mean? Like it's 2 hours earlier here in Arizona, but your energy, it wakes me up.
I hope so. I mean, listen, I've been up for like 4 hours already. I wake up. I'm an early riser when it comes to. I got a 2-year-old daughter. I don't have a choice.
I heard you. I heard that. Daddy duties.
Daddy duties had to be on the daddy duties this morning, but that doesn't stop us from putting out good content. Unfortunately, we got to start this episode with a little bit on the downside, right? Teven Jenkins, as reported by Brad Biggs, could miss considerable time. We're going to have to break that down. Tyson Bagent looks like he might be making a run at the QB2, and there's a lot of people not playing in preseason. What's going on with that? Do we like that approach? Also talking about Lance's camp days and preseason days. And finally, a little realignment, Lance. You don't have all the rivals that you once had growing up and playing in college football, watching college football. I want to get your thoughts on that as well. All that and more in today's episode of the Chicago Bears Podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago Bears Monday through Friday, so stay tuned in with us, man, to leave us a 5-star review. Lance, let's jump into this, man, because
first quarter.
The injury news keeps piling up. Even though the Bears have said most of the injuries that they have are not serious, we don't have to be majorly concerned about them. We finally get one that seems like it's going to linger into the season. Tevin Jenkins reported with an apparent leg injury by Brad Biggs late last night. And it seems like he could miss up to 6 weeks, potentially, of course, with him being placed on IR, right? That's something that you're going to miss a minimum of 4 weeks anyway. How does this affect what the Bears are going to try to do here this season to go out and win games when a guy that you thought you were going to be able to count on coming into the season now isn't there?
Well, it's going to affect the future more so than the current season and roster. You know, this current season and roster is one that inks him in as one of the starters or the needed starters or the core players on that line. Yeah. So, you know, when he's healthy, our line is strongest with him in the lineup. The problem is that he hasn't been dependable on since he arrived here, you know, and that's a problem. And I think that's something that's going to allow him to go his own way after this year, you know, or find some way to trade him out or whatever it is, unfortunately, you know, but we need guys that we can depend on. And as much potential as Teven Jenkins, as much potential as he has, we never get to see it. You know, we never get to see it. We never get to experience it because he's always constantly hurt. Now, the thing about him being able to come in 4 to 6 weeks, you know, we don't play for about 3 weeks from now. Right. So, that timetable, you know, it actually works in the Bears' favor a bit. You know, we may get him back week 3, you know, I think week 4 tops, but looking at probably week 3. And if the recovery happens faster, possible squeeze him in week 2, get a little bit, but that's the positive, I guess, to this strong injury.
Yeah, the part that sucks the most to me is, right, like you're missing out on an opportunity to have that continuity there. And we've talked about continuity a ton this offseason, right? I know it's a taboo word here in Chicago after, you know, Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy were here. And, of course, now with the Bulls throwing continuity out there, every opportunity we can get, run it back, boys. They're running it back. But you know, it's – on that offensive line, that's everything, right? We haven't seen Nate Davis standing next to Darnell Wright. We haven't seen Teven Jenkins, you know, in the preseason games. Not in the preseason games, a little bit different. The part that I think is the most surprising about all of this is he was in the joint practices. He seemed like he was fine in the joint practices. He finished the joint practices. All of a sudden, this leg injury pops up. Maybe it was something that after, was a little bit lingering. They end up finding out it was serious. But to me, right, I'm looking at this as even when Tevin does come back, whether it's week 3, week 4, week 5, that continuity next to Braxton Jones that you had built up, you've got 5 weeks where those guys aren't playing together, where those guys aren't being cohesive together, and I think that's a major concern for me as well.
They were together all summer.
True.
Continuity doesn't just leave because you're out, for a week or 2 or a couple weeks or whatever it is. The continuity was built to the offseason and into this training camp. Yes, they're gonna miss some snaps together, but these guys have been doing this for a very long time. He understands what Cody Whitehair's what he's gonna call Braxton. All of those guys along that line, they have a great idea of what they're. He's in that guard position for a reason, and once he plugs in, like I said, when he's healthy, he helps. He's a part of the best 5. He's a part of their best 5.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if they have any issues with pass protection or pass pro or picking up games or blitzes and this and that, they should always be able to run the ball. They should always be able to double team on those D tackles, work up to the second level. That comes first nature, and they love pushing. If you could double team on a guy, offensive line, they love to move forward, not backwards.
Is there no concern, though, that realistically we've only seen 7 snaps of those two together in real game action? You've seen them in the joint practice. You've seen them, of course, in the summer going against their own guys. But in the real game action, right, we've only seen 7 snaps of it in that first game, and then they basically pulled all of the offensive linemen except Darnell Wright for a little bit longer out of there. Is there any concern on your part that, yes, they've got the summer work, but they don't have that in-game action?
No, my only concern is Tevin coming in and getting hurt again. That's my only concern. I just want him to stack games of nicks and bruises, things that don't hold you down for the following week of competition.
Yeah.
Oh man, we had to hold Tevin out for Wednesday. He'll be back Thursday, or he'll be back Friday for those regular nicks and bruises that you get each week. Or nothing to report on Teven Jenkins this week. I just want them to stack weeks where we get to see what we have. Yeah. Even if we don't get you next year, or they find a way, to get some value out of you, whatever. Give us a glimpse of who we drafted and why we drafted you, and show us that piece of how strong of an offensive line we can have with you in it.
I think that's the main thing, right? Like, the best ability, of course, is going to be availability. That's the age-old line that we throw out there, and it's just true, right? Because I do think, realistically, to me, Tevin Jenkins is probably the most talented offensive lineman on this line. He came in left tackle. We moved him to right tackle. He played right guard. Now he's able to play left guard. He looked like he could do all of those things well. Realistically, right, it's just tough because he's never able to stay on the field long enough for you to see that pan out. And so like you said earlier, right? Like, are we heading towards Teven Jenkins not being a part of the Bears' future?
Yeah, well, it's not something that we wrote. It's something that he is writing for himself, and whether it's under his control or not under his control, the proof is been put out there, and he has shown that he is not a player that is you can depend on every week to help us team win. And that's it's sad that you have to say that, but that's the sad truth. That's what it is. And that typically sparks the exit for that player. If we can't, it's a production-based business, and if you're not available to produce, we have to get somebody in there that we can trust, that we can depend on to help produce for us for these Bears.
From the mindset of the player, right? Everybody always says next man up, next play, let's go. But realistically, right, that's an important piece on your line. How do you prepare yourself to have to pick up the load that guy now isn't there to carry?
Well, there's always rotations. You're always working rotations. You're working the best five, and then you're working the next best five. Who needs to slide in here? Who needs to slide in there? It's always a work in progress with the offensive line until you find the right five, and then who that sixth man is. Off the bench, you got to have a sixth man that you can slide into these positions that help us not lose a beat. And so I'm sure the Bears have a plan already in place, for this type of situation. I know that they have been behind closed doors and have said, look, we love this guy, Tevin, but in case he gets hurt like he has every year, let's have this in place. Let's start working this guy at the guard position. Let's slide this guy over and let's just see how it works out.
Now, the question that has been, of course, all over social media, all in the YouTube comments and different things like that is, did Ryan Poles make the right move not going offensive lineman in the draft again when you knew that Tevin Jenkins was a guy who could be injury prone? Bears talked about possibly moving up to get a center during the draft. Instead, they went Javon Dexter, Tyreek Stevenson, Zach Pickens, kind of in that 2-3 range.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that we're going to be looking back on this season and saying that's a spot he should have gone, maybe not defense there? Or are you just like, hey, listen, he hedged his bed. He went out there. He got the players that he believed in, and we can't live with the mistakes if they are.
I wouldn't. I don't see the point of looking back and being like, oh, man, why didn't we get an offensive lineman here or there? We have offensive linemen that are here. That are Bears right now. Yeah. You work with what you have. You continue to build. You only have so many picks to pick so many quality players. And at the moment that you wanted to pick those quality players, there were probably better quality players or more quality players on the defensive side. So it's just one of those deals. Like you make a decision, you live with it. We make a decision, we live with it. And nobody could foresee Tevin Jenkins getting hurt. Well, you know what I mean.
Relax, Lance.
Right.
Relax.
But you know what I mean.
I think that's the reason for the question, though, right? Like, it's like, here's the one thing that, shout out to Maya Angelou. My big mama said she said it first, though. I can't argue with her. When people show you who they are, believe it. And to me, I came into this season saying, listen, I love Tevin Jenkins. I love the talent that he has, but I am concerned that he's going to be able to stay healthy because he's never shown us that he can stay healthy. And so I can understand why people are looking at it and saying, as a GM, maybe you come in with that understanding. But I also see the flip side of it where if I've got as many holes as the Bears had last season coming into this season, you had to have some positions where you said, I'll worry about that later. You kind of had to gamble on it because of how many holes you had on the defense coming into the season. You didn't have a perfect number two to Jalen Johnson right now. You didn't have defensive pressure coming up the middle, especially right in a 4-3 defense. The things that were most important were probably on the defensive side right now.
Well, outside of the offensive line, I think offensive line was priority number one, then defensive line priority number two. Also getting those skill position players, playmakers around that weapons for Justin Fields. Yeah. There's so many holes that need to be filled on this Bears team that with all these trades and extra picks coming up this year, next year, the following year, just it's important to see the big picture and not get caught up so much in what's missing right now. Okay, we have a draft. We have 2 first-round picks next year. We've got additional mid-round picks. And in the following year. So it's about building this team and putting the right pieces together. Don't reach for a position when next year you won't need to reach to get that position. Okay, let's see what we have and see how far we can get with the team we have right now. We can keep them in healthy. If we have a guy that's getting hurt all the time, if we have a guy that's not holding up his end of the bargain, okay, we know exactly what positions that we can fill without having to reach the following year. All right, we knew going into this year that we were going to get better. We weren't going to be able to fill all the holes.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to live with. We have to live with the fact that we have to see the big picture here. Now, if our expectation is to finish third in the NFC North, and we're fighting for first place at the end of this year, we've exceeded our expectation. If we're fighting if we get into the playoffs, we've exceeded our expectation. Now, and that's with the holes that we still have. So we go out and we continue to fill those holes, and we're still exceeding all that expectation. That's what we're asking for. I think that's what we're really asking for, rather than look back and say, oh, man, we should have changed this guy, changed that guy. No, we did a hell of a job in the offseason. Did a hell of a job. We're not perfect. We couldn't perfectly fit or replace everybody, but we have to do it piece by piece. And I think they put pieces in there. I don't know if those pieces are going to go out and play the way we want. However, they put the pieces together, that make the most amount of sense.
Yeah, 100%. And I love how you said that, right? Because it's a situation where the Bears' expectation this season, they said it in 1920 drive. It's not to be, okay. They talking about winning the division. They're talking about winning the North. They're talking about going out and competing with the Lions, being better than the Vikings, being better than the Packers right now. And so, I think that this does change the protection scheme around Justin Fields. But like you said, you've still given Justin one of the best opportunities to be able to take a leap. DJ Moore's still there. Like last season, right? Justin was able to make a lot of plays passing the football. Receivers just didn't bring it in. Right? Yes, he's running for his life, but he was still able to get the ball out. This year, you got guys that can bring it in. Chase Claypool, hopefully he's healthy and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
But Chase Claypool, DJ Moore's your number one guy. Darnell Mooney underneath now.
Cole Kmet is a threat now in the red zone. Come on.
Tight ends. And you added Mercedes Lewis, who I think right like now, that may be the biggest ad that we saw Ryan Poles make because of how efficient Mercedes Lewis is as a blocker in this league as well. That's going to be something where even if you have a guy on that left side who's struggling, who isn't fitting in as well at left guard, right? Maybe you have Braxton help him a little bit more. You've got Mercedes helping Braxton, some kind of scheme there, blocking scheme that helps the Bears kind of find their way to still being a competent blocking team, a better blocking team than they were last season. So I'm still excited. I'm not losing hope on where this season's gone. I don't think because we lost Teven Jenkins, all is lost for the season. Is it a blow? 100%. It's a gut punch. I think that he's, like I said, he's your best offensive lineman on the team, but we'll see kind of, where this team ends up. At the end of the day, it all goes down on the gridiron, and don't expect the Bears to be the only team that has injuries coming into the season.
There you go. There you go.
Second quarter.
Let's jump into this second quarter, though. Second quarter brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana. See Gypsy Kings featuring Nicole Reyes on September 29th at Hard Rock Live. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Lance, very rarely are you going to see us get into backup quarterback talk, but we saw something on Saturday that kind of is a debate that has been going around the Chicago media and in the Chicago circles a lot, because we brought in PJ Walker to be Justin Fields' backup just in case anything should go wrong, and he has looked horrible. On the flip side, the young man that the Bears brought in Tyson Bagent has looked like an absolute stud. He went 9 for 10 for 76 yards, 98 QB rating, and ran in a touchdown himself. When you see guys like this start to emerge in camp, Lance, does it give you that, okay, yeah, it's the backup quarterback, it is what it is, we're going to get through this? Or is it, hey, man, y'all might have something here. This is a gem. I don't care what position it's at.
I think it's always hopeful. It's always hopeful. It's nice to see a kid that gets out there and makes his reads and fires that ball, is not afraid to fire the ball and doesn't hold the ball, anything like that. It's still, you still realize that he's not playing against ones.
Yeah.
He's not playing against ones. However, he's making a hell of a statement for himself. He's putting a resume out there on that field that all 32 teams can see, and whether it's something that the Bears say, all right, he's doing enough that we need to keep this kid. Even though, history says you should keep a veteran, this kid has made enough noise. We believe in him. Or it's, somebody else is like, listen, I don't know if you've seen this kid, but this kid, he looks like the real deal. Let's give him a shot. We're hurting at quarterback, and we need somebody to come in and compete.
Yeah.
So it's if your name is recirculating around the league, in positive ways because of the way you play, then it's a good thing no matter where you're playing or going to play in the future.
Yeah, it's one of those things where for me, right, like I'm not going to say like I'm overly excited, but it's cool to see a guy who's undrafted comes into the league. He's making a name for himself in preseason, and people are starting to get behind him. And at a minimum, right, worst case scenario, this young man becomes a backup quarterback in the NFL on another team, right? Like he's getting the opportunity to make a statement for himself. I don't know if the Bears end up keeping him. I don't. Like, Bagent is the hot name of training camp, and we see this happen almost every season, right? There's that training camp guy that you get the most excited about, and you're like, oh snap, we got this guy, he's gonna be a stud. And realistically, right, when the players kind of look at it and when the coaches kind of look at it, they're like, we love this kid, we love his work ethic, we hope we never get to you.
Yeah, and that's the truth. Because those same kids that you're so excited about, when that number one goes down and you have to pick up the torch for the next 2 weeks. You go into that first game with everything open because you've looked so good before. You everything open to you, and then in that playbook, and then it's a different show.
Yeah.
It's a different show. You're getting sacked here, you're getting hit here, you're throwing the ball a little early, you're getting picked, and you're like, whoa, what is going on? This is a different game. This feels a little bit different than the twos that I played against in preseason. And now we're like, dang, we're stuck with this quarterback another 2 weeks. We're going to reduce our playbook to something that we feel like you can handle. We're going to hand the ball off and run some play action.
Yeah.
And hopefully our defense can get some big stops.
Well, at least you were part of a defense that got some big stops. Here's a question for you, Lance. One we didn't talk about pre-show, so maybe you got to think about it a little bit. But who was the backup quarterback? Because you got to play with a lot of them. Who was the backup quarterback that when they came in, they impressed you the most? That you were like, oh, snap, okay, you got a little zip on that arm out here.
Pat, come on, man. Like, how many backup quarterbacks that I've played with? How many quarterbacks with that they had to tap in. Hey, give me Vaughn. Give me Vaughn. It was a lot. There were a lot, and
there was nobody stood out to you. Nobody was like you were like, you the best of the bunch.
Well, I can tell you one of my favorites was Josh McCown. Josh McCown was definitely one of my guys, man. Loved him as a teammate, being around the guy, just great energy.
It's so funny. We were talking about Josh McCown. This is the craziest thing, right? This tells you Bears fans. We were talking about Josh McCown the other day, and I was just amazed at how much he came in and how much money he made from being, I think he was a high school coach when the Bears ended up calling him up to bring him back out. And it was just like, hey, man, we got millions for you. Coming. Yeah, I'll be there. Don't worry about it. Hey, y'all pack it up. Y'all doing a great job. Keep running. High knees. I see y'all in Chicago. But it was just so cool. He ended up making $48 million in his career.
You gonna put his numbers out there like that?
No, Google put his numbers out there, dog. Listen, look, what you thought? Mother wasn't gonna Google it. Google put his numbers out there. Like Lance, listen, he's doing good. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he's coaching in Carolina. He's coaching quarterbacks in Carolina right now. So he's continuing on his legacy. So it's great to see.
It's really cool to see stuff like that when you see a guy be able to make a name for himself. Another thing that you did mention, though, right? He's going up against the twos. Tyson Bagent is. A lot of teams are treating preseason now as just we not risking nothing. We'll take our chances in these first 2 weeks of the season. We're gonna sit guys. Are you a fan of basically going through and not playing guys? I mean, the list of Bears that didn't play this week was hilarious because it basically was just the entire starting offense and defense. And a lot of guys, right, different soft tissue things that have been talked about and stuff like that. And they're just not taking a chance. They're not risking it, which a little bit different from your day.
Well, at this point in your evaluation of your team, it's which players are competing for jobs or competing for those starting jobs.
Yeah.
If they're not competing for the starting jobs and you have solidified who your starters are, then the players that are fighting for roster spots, for the twos, who's going to be the twos, who's going to be the threes, because if you're a three, you're going to be cut. So really it's the fight for the twos right now. And what it sounds to me is coaches have done their evaluations in training camp. We know who our ones are. We don't need to have them. There's nothing you need to go out and prove. All right. There's nothing we need to go out and prove. What's good the guys out there that are fighting for their positions and see what they're going to do.
You see this almost as a positive thing, because a lot of people see this as you're not getting guys work. Guys aren't out there, being able to get hit and get those reps and different things like that, right? But you're seeing this more so as a positive of, hey, the coaching staff knows who the starting unit is. They've already got that lined out. They're just trying to figure out the backups.
When I was playing that first game, it's like you're going to play the first series and then you're done for the day.
Right.
In my opinion, it's like, what's the point of playing this first series? I know you guys, you got on the phone with the other head coach and you're like, how long are you going to play your guys? I'm going to play my guys for about a series. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to play my guys for a series too. So then you come back, you get in front of your team, you tell them, hey, you guys, you're going to play a series, however long it is. That's how long it is. It's crazy. If we played Cleveland and Levy told us, he said, hey, you can either play one play or it can be 18 plays. It depends on you decide how long you're going to play. Okay. We get a pick on the very first play. We're doing cartwheels on the field because we're done for the day. I personally didn't understand, why do you want us to play the first series?
Yes.
In my opinion, it's more detrimental to us than anything else. We're going head to head, ones on ones during training camp every day. We're getting it in. So we're coming out to this field. If you're going to play, let us play the first quarter.
Yeah, and you talked about it, right? You said you guys ended up getting more, and I think Matt Eberflus even feels that way, right? You guys end up getting more out of the joint practice than you end up getting out of the preseason game, because no one ends up playing in those preseason games. You play a series or two, but in the joint practice, you're going at those guys every day.
Right.
I personally believe that's why we didn't see Justin play. That's why we didn't see most of the starters play, because you're in a situation now where I saw him go out and dominate in joint practice. What is he going to do in the game that's going to show me differently versus twos and threes?
Yeah, I like that move too. I would do more joint practices and start less of my starters. Those are who proven themselves. We got the work that we needed. We got the work that we needed. We worked our depth chart during practices, and we repped out without being under the lights, and being critiqued by the broadcasters. I'm satisfied.
You know what? We're gonna make a third quarter pivot here. We had a different topic up, but I got a better question for you now, Lance, as we head into the third quarter. But before we do that, it's halftime. This is the time we get to talk about anything. My favorite time in every show with Lance Briggs, because Lance Briggs always is fun in the halftime segment. Lance, what's going on with you, man? What's happening out in Arizona right now that has your attention?
It's football season, It's football season, and football has my attention. So, I had my littles. We went up to Flagstaff, had a big jamboree out there. I'm like 60 youth football teams out there, and let me tell you, we learned a lot about ourselves. We did some good things. I'll tell you that. Things we have to correct, but at the end of the day, I'll tell you, just like I told all of my 8-year-olds, hey, we have a good football team. All right, we have a good football team, and we're going to continue to get better. We're going to get better every day, and that's the thing, man. I was really happy with defensively. We were flying around to the ball. We were flying around. Okay, I was really proud. Now we have to do a better job of taking the ball away. Okay, we got to do a better job of taking the ball away. We got to score. That was my only thing. We got to do a better job of taking the ball away, but I was happy with our effort.
Are you doing them like Lovey did y'all? You know, the defense is the leaders right now. Hey, listen, y'all got to go. Y'all got to make these plays. We need touchdowns. We don't need just interceptions. We need touchdowns.
We scoop. Hey, I don't want to see anybody diving on the football. We scoop and we score. Absolutely. They talk about kid, he dropped the ball. That's why he's playing corner. No, our corners have the best hands. Our safeties have the best hands. All right, we put our best players out there.
You're not a fan of he dropped the ball, so that's why.
Yeah, that's that old statement. You know what I mean? That doesn't hold true.
That's why he's not a receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let me ask you this, Lance, because this was something that caught my eye this weekend. I was sitting out at a Twin Peaks enjoying a few drinks with one of my guys, watching the TVs they got up there. Great place to enjoy a couple of drinks, and I saw Lionel Messi on the TV.
Okay,
he's playing for Miami right now.
Enter,
dominating, every step of the way.
Yeah,
at 36 years old.
Of course.
My question to you is, right, because realistically, where he came from in EPL, I believe he played in overseas, all that. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know soccer, but I know this man, right?
Right.
To the MLS is a big drop, and you can tell because of how he's dominating here. If there was a football league that was a much lower league that you could have gone to at 36 and just gone and been the man, would you have made that move?
The pay's got to be good, right?
Well, I mean, Messi's making some nice money out here.
That's what I'm saying. But you just said, hey, would you go to a lower league and play football? No. You're leaving out some very, very important details.
$54 million for Lionel Messi.
Okay. I'm gonna play some football. Shoot. I'm gonna play some football for that amount. Well, but for a good amount, I would have played a few more years, whatever, I could have seen it.
It seems like everywhere we look, somebody's trying to start a new league, right? So let's say the XFL goes all in for you. They ain't got 54 mil. That's a little unrealistic, but let's say they got 25 mil. 25 mil for you right now. 42-year-old Lance,
right
42-year-old Lance Briggs. Right now, you can get your body together. Go play with them boys in the XFL. You're probably still a little bit above them, but you know what I mean?
I just don't think I can. I don't think I can get myself mentally, physically.
When's the last time you took a real hit? When's the last time you took a real football hit?
A real hit? A real football type of hit?
Yeah.
I take football hits all the time. My boys always they're always trying to run me over or tackle me,
Have they got you? Somebody didn't put a boom on you?
My nephew, my son, they double team me, they tag team me a lot. So, while I'm handling, let me tell you, while I'm handling one, the other attacks me from behind all the time. It's never both from the front. It's always while I'm handling one. All right, like handling one against the wall, the other comes from behind. And it's a leverage. It's a game of It's a game of leverage and angles. And eventually, I will overpower both of them. But that is what I'm dealing with. Yes.
But they getting a shot in, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
I love it, man. I love it that Coach Lance is still out here. Uncle Lance and Pops Lance out here. I mean, he's still out here laying the boom out here. They ain't got you yet, man. They don't have you yet.
It's a different kind of boom because now you see I carry a whistle. So when you get out of line with me, I'm gonna tell you get on the line. Get on the line. Mm-hmm.
Hey man, you have that was good. That was a good shot. Yeah, shot. I need 30 push-ups right now.
Yeah. Get on the line, everybody.
Hey, let's head into the third quarter, Lance.
Third quarter.
Because you brought up something that I think is a very, very interesting question. You talked about the Bears. If you were right, the coach or whatever, you try to do more joint practices. And this has been a notion that has come up around the NFL as a whole. Should the NFL look to abolish preseason games and go just into the joint practices for the entire preseason where you're getting that work against each other? Or should there be some kind of hybrid where you still do something for the 2s and the 3s, but you realistically are getting all your looks at your 1s in a joint practice?
I'm not a big fan of abolishment. Well, I'm a big fan of abolishment. It's a word I've never heard. You don't hear that word too often. You know?
My bad. Did I throw you off with abolish on that?
You threw me off a little bit. You know what I mean? You said abolishment. I just started thinking 1865. I don't know what it is. You know, and then like, oh, we're talking about football. Okay, football. Can you repeat the abolishment?
Let me throw it to you this way, right? Would you be in favor of, because it seems like the NFL is heading towards an 18-game season with a schedule, which player safety, but then hey, y'all want to play another game you're gonna take shots in, right? But realistically, to me, now you're just gonna have 18 games with 3 preseason games. You're playing 21 games a year. That's a lot of football on the body. Would you rather see NFL teams go to removing the preseason games, going with more joint practices because you're getting that work versus the number 1s? Or are you in favor of keeping things kind of as they are with preseason still being there?
I don't want to see 18 games. I don't want to see 18 games. 17 is a lot. And but yeah, I do think that a joint practice schedule, and you can get plenty of scrimmages in. You can get your scrimmage in there. It creates a different type of atmosphere. You can and for the owners and all that stuff, for the amount of money that you pay the players anyway during preseason, I just think that format bodes better for the players and the fans. Now you start getting fans around there. You sell whatever you got to do there, and fans will come into town to see these competitions. And it's you can plan your week around it. Okay, I can catch this day and this day, or I can catch this day and this day. Here's the schedule of events. These are when these are going to be scrimmaging. We're going to have short yardage today. We're going to have these different things. There's a lot you can do with joint practices and fandom.
I didn't even think about it from that aspect, right? I guess I was going to say running a joint practice in the stadium, but then it's just a preseason game pretty much, ain't it? Like then you're just doing a preseason game, but I like that aspect of it, right? Where you can still sell tickets. Yes, it's not going to be as much as a preseason game probably, but you're still getting the fan aspect of it where fans are able to get eyes on it. And like you said, you're getting more out of the joint practice than you are the preseason game, because are we to the point now where the preseason game is literally just to get players in a routine of like, put your pads on, put basically just
game-like situation.
NFL life is
a game-like situation. But the other thing too, you can do it joint practices. You can have you can do family day. You can do joint practice at the stadium. Bears always have a practice at the stadium.
A family day, yeah.
A family day. You can have the family day, so you get fans coming in and fans not only from the let's say we're talking the Bears, but from whoever they're in the joint practice with. And the other team can go back. They can have a family day. They can do joint practice. You can do joint practices this week with this team. Joint practices this week with this team. There's a lot you can do if they're willing to explore it.
And I'll be honest with you, right? I would almost rather see that, because from the aspect of caring about the game, clearly all of the coaches outside of Sean Payton, who's letting Russell Wilson run into the second quarter, pretty much are approaching this now in the NFL as, I'm not going to risk my guys getting hurt to see them play a drive. I'm not going to risk my guys getting hurt to see them play a quarter. So it just basically turns the beginning of the NFL football season into how we view every other sport, where the season's just starting. It's not as important. These first couple of games are kind of just them figuring out where they're going, versus you're going through these 3 preseason games. They're still doing that anyway, right? The first 2 weeks, we always look at the teams and we be like, it's early in the year. They won't look like that by the end of the season. So you're still getting that same thing. And as much as you're against it, I am against it as well. I was against 17. The NFL is probably going to add that 18th game. I think you see teams take things a little bit slower in those first couple of games in that aspect.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think the players, at some point need to realize how unified they can be and how powerful they are when they, it didn't happen before. Well, it happened in a sense before me, but didn't happen the way that it could have.
Yeah.
It didn't happen the way it could have during when I was playing, and it hasn't happened since I left the way that it can.
Yeah.
There's strength in the product. You cannot play this game without the product. It's the most important thing. And when all the players know that we are the product and you cannot play this game without us, then, you can become more of a united front. And it's not one player that's representing a team. You should have team representing a team, and the players have their own players meeting, just like the owners have the owners meeting.
Yeah.
The players need to have their own meeting, not have one player or two players go and represent each team. That does not get it done. You need to get together as a group. If people decide they don't want to show up, that's fine. But on a yearly basis, players need to show up for each other to talk about what their biggest issues, biggest concerns, and what they want moving forward.
Is the NFL from the player aspect, do you think that it's too, well, of course there's a brotherhood of being there and playing together, the camaraderie, but still we see a lot of individualistic approaches when it comes to trying to get things done versus the owners? You think it's still too individualistic?
Look, you have these bonuses. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You have bonuses that kick in the spring, that kick in when you make the roster. You have these incentives. You have players that are at different parts of their career. You have young players that some are just fighting for a league minimum.
Yeah.
Some that are first rounders or first day guys, second day guys. You have guys that have played for a long time and they're waiting for that last little bonus. I maybe make it to March.
Yeah.
So by having one or two players represent the team, you're getting a biased opinion depending on who that player is. And that player where the whole team I trust this guy, I know he's a team guy. He's a team guy. Yeah, he seems like a team guy, but he may be a guy that goes in, I'm going to fight for this last bonus that I have, and if we have to cross the lines a little bit early, and give in to what they want, I'm going to give in to what they want so I can get my bonus, okay? Rather than fight for what is right.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is the players they don't need a team anybody representing the team. The team should represent each team. Each player should have an opportunity to meet somewhere centralized. This is where we're meeting this year, players. Yeah. And all the players, if all the players come, great. If some players don't come, that's your choice, that's your decision. But you'll never be unified until everybody joins in and we fight together.
Man, it's crazy because there's so many accomplishments that have happened towards the players and towards player safety, but then there's still all those things that make us scratch our head, right? Yeah. There's still always those things where it's like you care about player safety, but you want them to hit more. You want them to play more games. You want them
to play at an outdoor stadium in January in Minnesota. Turf.
You know what I mean? And that's a big one. That's crazy. It is crazy when you think about it that way. Let's keep this thing moving along, man. That was a great conversation right there, Lance. I love that.
Fourth quarter.
Let's keep this thing going into the fourth quarter, though, because there's something that we got to be excited about here, Lance. Not preseason football. Everybody calm down. We're not going to see more Tyson Bagent and Nathan Peterman. We got college football starting Saturday, Lance. Are you ready for some real football, some real hitting, that's still a little up in the air with some of these teams. You know what I mean? Like with some of these teams, they be like, who you playing the first week? Oh, we got Iowa, Nowheresville State. They have they have a cow as their mascot. Yeah, wait a minute, bro. Hold on.
College football. Hey, I do get excited for college football. I love the spirit of college football. However, there's a lot of undisciplined play in college football. All right. That is the biggest difference. One of the things that I dislike about college football is how undisciplined they play defensively. There's too many holes. However, the spirit, the amount of energy that's emitted from college football, love that. Love that atmosphere.
What is your thoughts on the conference realignments that have gone down? We've seen a lot of major changes to how a lot of these conferences have gone.
In moments like these, especially because I went to the Pac-10, Pac-12.
Right.
In moments like these, you have to fall back on: did you make the right decision? Did I make the right decision going to University of Arizona? Yeah. Yes, I did. Because we were one of the teams that were wanted. Big 12 said, we really want you to come over here. You're really our first choice. Please come over and help us become the strongest basketball conference in the country.
It's so interesting, right? Because I always think of it in the aspect of, right, like Deion Sanders said, we could have moved to B, D2 or D1, but can the baseball team do it? Can the basketball team do it? Because it's not just the football team moving. So you think that this is going to be good for a lot of these conferences, having everybody going over, having everybody go play in these different conferences?
So, great question. It's a great question. I think when you think about what, at the end of the day, what matters most is where football goes. Is where does football go? Listen, hey,
where's the money?
Come on, I mean, this is the truth. It's the truth. Yeah. I saw some comments about, oh man, well, how's the softball team gonna, and the baseball team, and the and the golf team, how are they gonna feel because they got to travel here and there? They don't pay the bills. All right. Yeah. Football in this country pays the bills. And that's why where football goes, everybody else has to go with them. And for the longest time, it was one of those deals where football pays for everything. Football pays for all the sports and all the stuff that we're doing, but the players that are put on there, the product of players that are put out there, they don't see any of the rewards of what they're providing for the school, and so we were struggling with housing. We have our posters were up on the billboards. We don't get paid for that. They're selling our jerseys in the student stores around the cities. We don't get paid for that. And it just, there's a lot that goes into it, and which is why now we're in the state that we're in now, where the players can make money now. And then you got your college coaches that are making $10 million for 10 years and stuff like that. And the universities are getting paid. The ones that weren't getting paid were the product, the people, the boys, the young men that were going out there and producing those dollars.
How do you feel NIL is affecting college football? Do you feel like it's affecting it in the positive? Do you feel like it's affecting it in the negative? Because we've heard, right, a lot of coaches are basically saying it's now harder than ever to try and get players because, I can come in with the best intentions of trying to get the best man, but they're going to give them $10 million. Hey. Which listen, realistically, they just made it legal to give this guy $10 million. Like, we're not going to act like they wasn't throwing money out here back in the day.
Right. You know what? It should be hard for the coaches. And for the players, there's gonna be bad that comes along with the good, and it's all gonna get sorted out. A lot of it's gonna get sorted out. You know what I mean? But you have to run studies. You have to figure out how the game is changing, and you can't do that overnight. But if you're a college coach and you're making 7-8 figures, you should be applauding your players. You should be applauding your players to make money and to have a lifestyle, because have a lifestyle that's fitting of the product that's helping put money on, not only in your pocket as a coach, but in the university's pocket. Yeah. And so that it's one of those deals that I remember myself. I remember the guys that were around me that struggled, and I know those that played before me that all struggled in college. So times have changed, and they're not going to go back. It's not going to go back. So for any of the coaches that complain about this, complain about that, I hope you're not complaining when that check comes in and that smile, you get to take care of everything that you wanted to.
And that's what I'm not gonna lie. I love this because the dumbest thing in the world that I've heard, the dumbest argument that I've heard from, listen, I'm sorry if you feel this way, morons, is that they're playing for the love of the game, and now they have the money and it's thrown off the love of the game. I'm gonna tell you this right now. The love of the game mean that this man is struggling to have a meal outside of the time that the dining hall is open. The love of the game mean that he's got to figure out, okay, how do I schedule this out so that I got food in my dorm room if you're not at one of the best schools in the country and different things like that where they provide those things for you. Like the love of the game argument is that if you love the game, you love the game. Lance Briggs is a perfect example of it. He's told y'all like he just loved playing football.
I love playing football, but the other thing too is this right here is for anybody that asks that question. Ask that question to the players that don't get drafted, that in college and they walk away and the college just say, "All right, thank you for being a part of our university. We'll see you. Good luck in life."
Yeah.
All right. Ask those players. All right. How did loving the game do for you?
Yeah.
How did loving the game do for you? You know what I mean? So, and for a lot of those players, they're the guidance wasn't there from a trusted source that could help guide you and say, hey, listen, and they're doing a better job of it now. and it's really starting at the high school level. I think they're removing the dumb jock out of it, my era. But players are smarter and they're understanding there are more resources in that football is a gateway to so many different things.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always like that. And when the players were done playing football, that didn't get drafted, didn't get signed at free agency, it was, all right, thank you, bye, be on your way. And hey, man, I really love football, but now I'm in the real world and I don't have anything to show for it. But debt, college debt, to be honest.
And the part with that, right? Like everyone's argument was, well, he got a college degree out of it. He was able to go to class. But like we live in a world now where like a college degree, a lot of jobs are looking at that and they're like, we don't care that you got a college degree. You don't have any work experience.
Right. We got to train you. We have to train you for this. And the ones that use that degree, you're in debt. All of them are in debt. Debt.
Yeah. It's a completely different world now. And to me, I applaud college. I applaud high school and college. Well, high school is a little iffy for me. I ain't gonna lie to you. Some of these months in high school getting the millions, it's like, all right, bro, like he should be able to make money off of his name. But like this man got a Papa John's deal and he ain't did nothing yet. You know what I mean? Like, you got a Papa John's contract and all you did was play high school basketball really well. Hey, shout out to you for working it out. But that's
absolutely. If you can get that worked out, great for you. Great for you,
But I think that we're to a point now where the real world has caught, or college football has caught up to the real world, and I love to see that. One other thing before we get up out of here, because this is the thing that I'm excited about. Now, me personally, I didn't go to college. I didn't have a team that I was attached to. I had, the state schools, and realistically in football, they wasn't good. I rooted for the Illini when we had Lovey. We ain't win a lot though. So I attach myself very much like LeBron fans to players wherever they go. My player has always been Deion Sanders. I think personally, no disrespect, Lance, Deion Sanders pound for pound is the greatest defensive player we've ever seen because of how many things he could do on the field. Okay. That's just me.
Fair enough.
I'm following Deion Sanders to Colorado. Are you going to be watching any Colorado football this year? Because I'm really intrigued to see what they're going to be able to do, taking that philosophy he had at Jackson State now to Colorado.
Oh, it's a guarantee. It's a guarantee I'm going to see. They play Arizona this year.
They play Arizona, October 7th.
It's a guarantee I'm going to watch at least one game this year of Colorado. I'm a fan. Listen, I'm a fan of Deion and what he's doing, but I'm a U of A fan. I'm a college football fan. If it's on and I'm around and the TV's on, I'm watching. The state of football and honestly the state of the Pac-12 and where they're moving forward. So all of its members and all the members, and because we'll be in the Big 12 with them next year. I'm certainly following them, following the Big 10 schools. I'm following SEC, ACC, all of that stuff, man. It's football is it's like being a kid in a candy store, man. Whatever level. I'm watching high school here. I'm watching youth football, and then I'm getting my college and my pros and my Canadian football in. I'm getting out all of it.
This is the best time of year. My bad. They play Arizona November 11th. My bad. I messed that one up. This is the best time of year to just have a TV running. Right, like there's 2 times a year. Early in baseball season for me is a great time to just have a TV running because early in baseball season at like 2:00 is just the game on, and then college football season and NFL season because you'll just be doing something, walk in and just be like, oh man, it's 15 to 11.
Yeah.
How the heck did we get this score? Now I gotta sit down and watch this game.
Now I gotta sit down and watch. Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
I'm excited about it. Ladies and gentlemen, football is back. We do have one more preseason game to get to before we get to Bears week 1, Bears versus Packers. Last thing, Lance, Arizona football this season. What do you got as the final record?
Better than 600. I'd say I'm going to go with 7, 8 wins. 7, 8 wins
okay.
and a bowl berth. Yes.
Okay. I'm not mad at it. Hey, I'll tell you this. They definitely came out confident because they canceled them last 2 games. So, You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But, hey, we'll see what that all turns into. Make sure you guys stay tuned in us here for more Bears talk. We'll be back tomorrow breaking things down, as always, with Courtney Cronin. So stay tuned in us with that. We'll get the latest on the injury update around the Chicago Bears. For Lance Briggs, I am Pat the Designer, back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Drop a bird down in the comments below. Chicago Bears Podcast.
Peace.